connection issues. Okay, I got a thumbs up. I might end up exiting and going to my phone during our first presentation, but since you can hear me right now, I will go ahead and continue from here. All right, so welcome to the Oregon Department of Human Services Self-Sufficiency Partners meeting. We offer ASL and Spanish interpretation. Please use the interpretation icon below to select how you would like to participate in our meeting. We also offer CART transcription services. Self-Sufficiency Programs is committed to developing and deepening our partnerships to provide outstanding and culturally specific services and supports to people in Oregon. This means listening, learning, and working together across ODHS programs and state agencies with the 9 tribes of Oregon, community-based organizations, and members of Oregon's communities. This virtual meeting occurs monthly and is a forum for updates, discussion, feedback, and Q&A about self-sufficiency programs and other related subject matters. This meeting is recorded so that we can share the meeting along with the presentation and minutes to those partners who are unable to join us today. The follow-up email with all corresponding documents and links will be sent in about 1 week. At this time, we do ask that you introduce yourself in chat. Please include your name, pronouns, organization, and role. This is helpful to us and to partners as well for connection purposes. I'm going to go ahead and do that myself here. All right, today's agenda includes presentations about the Youth Experiencing Homelessness Program and supportive services. Presenters, we do ask that you turn your cameras on while presenting. We're able, as our partners, appreciate seeing the person who's speaking. Of course, we would also like to invite all those that are willing and able and comfortable to share your cameras as well. Before we begin today, I did want to clarify any confusion that may have arisen from the community partner email that was introduced in the partner meeting on June 25th. This email is a great way to connect with the Office of Equity and Multicultural Services Community Engagement Team. They're happy to work with you and help you find the right person to connect with. If you already have a contact within self-sufficiency that you're working with, you can still reach out to them directly. The new email is completely optional and is just meant to be of help and assistance for you. This means that you're still welcome to reach out to myself or to James or directly to any other program contact that you might be currently engaging with. If you would like this email so that you can engage with our OEMS community engagement team, I will go ahead and copy that into chat now so that you have it. All right, and I see that our first presenter is here, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Matt Rasmussen, who's going to be talking with us today about the Youth Experiencing Homelessness Program. Matt.
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you for having me. Again, yeah, my name is Matt Rasmussen. I use he, him pronouns. I oversee I'm the manager for the Youth Experiencing Homelessness Program, which is within the Department of Human Services and Self-Sufficiency. I've been kind of at the helm of this program for about 8 years now, and we are seeing some rapid growth. It seemed like a really great time to connect with this group and talk a little bit about where we are. 20 minutes is not nearly going to be enough, so if there's an opportunity or a desire for more in-depth stuff, please let me know at a later time. And I think we have another person from our team here, Adam. I'll let Adam introduce himself.
Hey everyone, I'm Adam Jenkins. I use he and they pronouns. I am the newest member of the Youth Experiencing Homelessness Program team, and I am on board as the Systems Change Coordinator.
Great, thank you. I believe, I don't know. This is like such a thing to say. Can you see my screen or no? Misha, can you see it or not? Yeah, you can see it. Okay,
We
perfect.
can see
Great.
it. Yeah.
Great. Well, I will go ahead and get started. And I'm not going to be manning chat. Maybe Adam, if you can kind of just look at chat, and if there's anything, just ping me, let me know. But today we have, I think, about 20 minutes, maybe 10 minutes for questions after, if I'm not mistaken. And so this is going to feel very rushed. If we had had this conversation 3 years ago, I could probably talk about what we're doing in about 5 minutes. And we do not have enough time in this entirety of meeting to go over everything. So today, we're just going to talk a little bit our program as a whole, talk about youth homelessness in general. Some of this may be repeat to you, but I just wanted to level set on youth homelessness specifically. Talk about our program funding, local grantees, some data that we have, and some special initiatives that we are working on as well. So we are housed, like I mentioned, within the Department of Human Services, within self-sufficiency. I like to give this slide, it's very simple, but I like to give it as a starting point because even though we are a state program, we do not do, by and large, primarily direct service. We receive our funds from the legislature, some general funds, some state general funds and some federal funds. The majority of that money goes to local organizations who are actually working and connecting with young people across the state. I just like to get that out there because we are not like child welfare. We don't have case managers. We don't have frontline staff that are DHS employed. Our entirety of our work is done within central office, with the local work being done by local contracted organizations. So our role is overseeing a variety of different things. We do grants and contracts with local partners. We work to deliver troubleshooting when issues arise, when there's more information that is needed by programs. We modify and advance different policies, track national best practice. We look into applying for federal funding for our program to be able to work with communities better. Engage with youth and partners and maintain and strengthen our connections with other DHS programs as well. When we're talking about youth, it's important to know that we have a pretty open definition of youth homelessness. Sometimes if you start looking at federal definitions, it can get a little specific around like what it means to be homeless. Ours is pretty open, all things considered, out of design. But we are generally talking about young people through the age of 24 who are not in the care of a parent or guardian, who are navigating a homelessness experience on their own. So oftentimes that means they're staying in places not fit for human habitation. They're staying in shelters, hotels, motels, and something that is, I don't want to say unique necessarily. It's not unique in practice, but it's unique sometimes in defining homelessness is if a young person is staying with family and friends, not with their parent or guardian, and that's not a stable location for them, also that is an experience of homelessness in our books, and we're able to support that with our funding. Some national and state data that we have, you can read these in the purple boxes, but essentially this is not all that surprising, unfortunately, but the numbers around young people, especially those who have come from non-white culture, have different experiences with homelessness. They are generally at a greater risk. The numbers are enhanced as a result. Youth in general across the board are vulnerable because returning home is oftentimes not a possibility once we are kind of at this state in their lives, and there's different barriers around youth and their access to services compared to adult homelessness services. But even within youth, as a subset, there are also other challenges and poor statistics that arise when you start adding in race and ethnicity and LGBTQ status and other factors as well. Some numbers that we have here in Oregon, we did a statewide assessment a few years ago that estimated about 8,300 young people are in Oregon are in need of some sort of safe housing or service intervention each year. The national numbers of the largest youth homelessness study that has been done estimates that across the country, 1 in 30 youth who are between the ages of 13 and 17 and 1 in 10 young adults between ages of 18 and 25 experience at least a week's worth of homelessness over the course of a year. So a pretty significant number, no matter how you're breaking it down. And when you look at us here, we have some statistics which we are not necessarily, we are not thrilled to be in these numbers with, but we currently have the 4th highest number of unaccompanied homeless youth across the United States. We're number 4 in the country. And we have the unlucky designation of having the highest number of unaccompanied homeless youth without shelter. So unsheltered unaccompanied homeless youth, Oregon is number 1 in the country on that. And I don't want to call that a misnomer. It is true. The numbers come from something called a pit count, a point in time count, which people are familiar with. We could talk about the challenges of the pit count for a while. We could talk about that's generally an undercount. And when you start adding youth into the mix, it's even more of an undercount. However, it's an undercount for everybody. And so we still are challenged with having not enough shelter opportunities, not enough housing opportunities for young people. I added this slide on today, actually, to this presentation because I found it very interesting. This state index on youth homelessness came about, which kind of looked, this goes beyond like actual numbers of young people, but it focuses on housing policy. It focuses on the states and their ability to have legislation in place that allows young people to access, be able to afford and maintain safe and habitable housing. It focuses on systems that can help or prevent homelessness as well. Yeah, Misha, I'll pause for a second. You have your hand up?
Yeah, there was a question in chat
you.
asking if that ranking is the highest number in proportion to our population or the raw highest number.
It's the raw highest number. Yep. So this is kind of an interesting piece because we have, the number 1 highest percentage of unaccompanied homeless youth, but we have the 2nd highest score as it pertains to having positive policy around young people being able to access housing. Maybe not housing access in the sense of like actually having units, but there's safe, affirming laws in place that make it safer for young people across the board to be able to access housing if it's available. It's a really interesting piece here because it's almost a flip of what you see. Like the red areas are locations that have negative scores, meaning that their policy around being able to support LGBTQ young people having safe, affirming space to go to, like it is very poor. Those also are locations that, generally speaking, have 2 things. They have low youth homelessness counts, and they also have very low housing. Their affordability for housing is accessible. We have the 41st out of 50 states of highest rent burden. And these states in the red have very low amounts of housing. Their affordability is much easier there. So your young people are able to oftentimes access housing because it's cheap, relatively speaking, cheaper to reside in these locations. So it kind of sets this weird balance between, like, hey, Washington, California, Illinois, New York, Oregon, all in the top 5 of young people who are experiencing homelessness, also have the best legislation in place to be able to support young people if rent was affordable as well. So I like to kind of level set that to say we may be struggling with our numbers. We're also doing a pretty good job, all things considered, to open up the opportunities for young people to be safely housed as well. I think I went into that slide a little too longer than I wanted to, so I'll try to get us back on track here. Our funding, we've been around for 10 years, but ultimately, like only within the last 3 have we really seen a positive influx of funding opportunities. From 2015 to 2023, we had no change in our budget. It was $3.1 million per biennium, $1.5 million a year or so that was designed and designated to go out to support all youth-specific programming, youth-specific homelessness programming in the state. So it did not stretch very far. It was underfunded for almost a decade. When the pandemic hit, we saw a variety of different short-term investments that came online. You can see those at the bottom there. Those all expired June 30th. And as a result, June 30th, 2023. And as a result, we were going to be faced with taking a huge step back, like almost 75% of our budget being taken away after this growth. So we luckily in this last biennium were able to work through and had an increased budget that totaled, all things considered, near $30 million. We see about a 10 time funding growth in the span of 2 years. And it has been a lot of progression on that front, which is both good and also stressful and hard as well. So what are we able to do? We increased the number of locations and counties that have a program funded youth homelessness program from 12 to 26. We increased the number of our grants and contracts almost 2.5 times. We have triple the amount of providers that are working with us as well. And we've also been able to expand a lot into other more specific and unique initiatives, of which I'll talk a little bit about, but won't get into detail on today. But we started opening up the ability to fund host home projects and transitional living programming, youth specific housing units, direct cash transfer programming. So a lot of really interesting things we're able to do during that period of time. I talked a little bit about our money going out into the community. This is by and large what we fund. This last year, we put out $19.5 million in grants into the community in these areas: prevention, crisis intervention, medium-term housing, host homes, and then a small amount for support services as well. And this is where they are located. I don't know how big or small this is going to be on your screen. We do have a link to our map as well, which you can actually click on a county. You can see who the providers are, what they're providing, and their contact information that I can share out with Misha after this. But we still have a ways to go. The map looks nice. It looks like we're covering a lot of things, but we still have a long way to go to cover the entirety of the state. Sometimes people ask how youth are accessing services if DHS is not doing the direct referral work. So there are a lot of referrals. Young people can, by and large, or oftentimes, especially if they're minors, are connected via school counselors with programs. Some communities have outreach workers, contacts in the community. We are building up the way that we are trying to get information out to our local self-sufficiency individuals who are doing eligibility or who are doing any sort of family support or program support, and having them know who the providers are in their community so that they can make these referrals as well. Young people can just walk in or call into a program as well to talk about what's available to them too. And then there's an eligibility assessment that local programs do, and then from there, goals and service plans are worked through with the young person in the program that they're a part of. I mentioned very briefly some special initiatives that we are doing. We're doing direct cash transfer pilots, which we are giving youth cash each month. And then in another pilot, we are giving a one-time lump sum amount to go towards housing or towards bettering themselves. It has been a wild ride. It has also been rapidly successful and is something that we are excited to continue. At last check, just as FYI, we have 107 of the 120 youth that we've been working with that have achieved housing since this pilot started 18 months ago. So not an insignificant number, 90%. We have gotten some funding to do youth-specific affordable rental housing.
Uh-oh, did you lose me? I think I got lost.
We can hear you.
You can hear.
Yes, but we lost your presentation.
Yeah, hold on a second. Sorry about that. If to be honest with you, that was my last slide. So if you cannot see anything anymore, that's okay with me. I think you can see me now. Okay, cool. And yeah, so I am now off my game here, but we're doing some other initiatives. We're doing some rental support housing for young people. We're also in the process of establishing or finalizing the establishment of a statewide youth action board, of which we have young people who are speaking on and working with us to advise our work going forward, to be involved in hiring, be involved in decisions that are being made, funding decisions as well. And then we also oversee a newer initiative that is tuition and fee waivers for young people who are experiencing homelessness. We are sort of the gatekeeper for that. There's much more information on that we can provide. We have a one-pager that anybody can have access to, but essentially allows for young people who meet certain criteria that we didn't come up with, but certain criteria to have their tuition and fees waived at Oregon public universities and community colleges. Yeah, have that be not a burden to them as well. So I'm going to pause there. That's the end of things. I am sorry. I don't know what just happened. My computer is blank over here all of a sudden, but I'll pause there and then maybe try to fix this while if there's any questions.
Do you see the chat, Matt, or would you like me to read it for you?
I see a lot of chat. I don't know where it start. I think it might just be introductions for a while. So
yes, so if you scroll down, we have multiple youth here at my community college receiving the tuition waiver, excuse me. If you work directly with college-age homeless or formerly homeless youth, please tell them about it. They do need to do some coordination with OSAC to make it all work, but it can be life-changing. And then Mariah is looking for information on the college tuition.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any links that you can, oh, Farron just shared a link. Thank you, Farron.
Yeah, we have a link on our website, and we also have a newly created one-pager, which we're kind of excited about. It's all relative, but it has QR codes on it. So programs can give it out, or anybody can give it out to a young person, have it on a bulletin board, print it off, and a young person or whoever could just scan it on their phone and would either be taken to the application link or, what schools are eligible, or the FAQ, the frequently asked questions that gets a little more weedy as to am I eligible or not. So those are all available. We just finished that up last week, and so we can send that out to everybody too. I think it's a good resource.
Awesome. We still have time, Matt, if there's anything else you wanted to share, or I know there was a position that you were hoping to let partners know about. You can share about that.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. If I had my screen, there's probably more that I could talk about, but now I'm all disjointed, and so I got nothing right now. But yes, we are in the process of hiring for 2 positions. One just closed last week, but there's one that is still open. It is a rural engagement coordinator, where we are looking for somebody who doesn't necessarily have to be from a rural location. Maybe it's preferred, but I don't know. People come from different, there's people that live in Portland that grew up elsewhere, and vice versa. So it's not limited to a geographic area. But what we're trying to do is, as you all probably saw in that map, there are still large swaths of area, especially in coastal rural communities, that don't have the level of either community-based organizations or knowledge around youth homelessness at all. And we're trying to strengthen that a little bit by forging and finding connection points in rural areas, be that community-based organizations or community action agencies and beyond, to try to strengthen our work and prepare and assist communities with being able to talk about youth homelessness, learn about youth homelessness, and hopefully be prepared to submit applications when we have money available for our core services, grants, and beyond. So we're hiring somebody to kind of be intentionally working with rural communities on these sorts of things. The challenge is that this is a limited duration position that expires June 30th, 2025. It's taken a year to get to this point of actually posting it, which is unfortunate. I will say we do have plans to continue our limited duration positions long term. We do have a budget request in for that sort of thing, but if it was up to me, it would all be a signed done deal. Unfortunately, it's not all up to me. And so it is a semi-risk on that front, but if there are people interested that you know of, or newsletters or groups kind of geared towards with a rural sphere, please share that. I'll get my computer figured out before the end of this call, and I can even send a direct link to the app. Oh, look at that. Farron's got it. It's there. So please share that link out. I think it closes on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So.
All right, thank you, Matt. Anybody else have any questions for Matt before we move to our next presentation? We still have some time.
Well, we are here and we have a growing team with Adam and other staff as well. There was a time where I was fielding everything and felt like I was failing at it all. So now I only semi feel like I'm failing half the time, and I can just give stuff over to Adam and other people. So if you do have questions, specific, more general, training needs or something specific, please loop us into any communications around youth homelessness. We want to be the state leader in that. We want to support all that we can.
Thanks, Matt. Can you put into chat maybe the best email to get a hold of somebody from the team if anybody has any questions later or wants to connect?
I will ask Adam to do that because apparently my keyboard is also not working at the current moment. So
all sorts of fun.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
But
That's
yes,
all right.
we can do that. We each have our own individual emails, and we have a program email as well that we all have access to. So that's a really good one for us to put in chat here, and then we can divvy it out as the content dictates.
All right, thank you so much. Okay. Is Miguel here? Miguel is our next presenter. There he is. Hi, Miguel.
Good morning. No, good afternoon. Sorry. Hello, Miguel Mendez. I'm the lead analyst from the TANF team, and I was just going to share a little bit about some exciting changes within the program. I put together a little presentation. Let me try to share my screen. Can you see the PowerPoint? Hopefully.
We see it.
Okay, cool. I can't see you anymore. So anyway, so like I said, I'm the lead analyst for the TANF program, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. And today I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the changes upcoming towards our support services for our Job Opportunity and Basic Skills program, otherwise known as JOBS. And maybe I'll move forward. Yes. Okay, so before I get into the changes, I really, I don't know what everybody's level of knowledge is around support services, so I figured I would just talk a little bit about what support services are in the TANF Jobs program. So our support services are available to provide individualized assistance for participants so that they can engage and participate in activities. And some of our activities for the program are related to family stability and well-being, building skills, and offer educational opportunities for employment, as well as accepting job offers and to retain employment. Because we do have some families who are minimally employed and still eligible for our services. And the idea is to be able to allow them to maintain that employment and enhance that employment. Not all TANF participants are eligible to receive support services. So again, they have to be eligible to participate in our jobs program. We have a couple of different statuses. We have what we call our jobs eligible individuals and our jobs volunteer eligible individuals, excuse me, getting tongue-tied. Our volunteer individuals are those who are federally mandatory but exempt at the state level. So they're in a different kind of classification, but we still allow them to engage and participate and be eligible for services. I'll go on to the next screen. Here, I just put a couple of some examples of the types of available support services that we have with the program. We have what we call internally as incidentals to capture store valued cards. So those could be things like Amazon gift cards, Walmart cards, Fred Meyer cards, any other type of business. Just nothing like Visa gift cards. Those we are not allowed to purchase, as well as gas cards. We offer transportation passes. So really examples are of that are bus passes or other public transportation kind of passes. We also offer direct cash payments for individuals to be able to go back and forth between their activities or job searching, whatever it is that their personal goal is. We also assist with clothing needs, housing, and utilities. That's one of our biggest support services at the moment. Grooming needs, and what that really means is like haircuts and things of that nature. We also assist individuals with tools and equipment. Sometimes we have individuals who are engaged in educational activities, and so we do provide assistance where financial aid is not available for books and supplies. We're also able to assist individuals with educational training opportunities, so vocational trainings, short-term trainings, things of that nature. If individuals are on academic probation, for example, and they're working towards gaining good standing with the financial institution or the educational institution, we could also support them through that process. We also pay for auto expenses, eyeglasses, and during tax season, from January 1 until tax day in April, we are also available to pay tax preparation services if there are no other community resources available. The next slide just talks about some of the payments that currently are not allowable. So a lot of these are due to federal regulations. For example, we're not allowed to pay medical related expenses, any items towards entertainment, vehicle purchases, childcare. The reason we don't pay for childcare any longer is due to the Department of Early Learning and Care. When that department was established and employment related daycare moved over there, our TANF jobs childcare also went over there. And because of that, we no longer offer childcare services, or support services, I should say. We're not able to assist with the purchase of weapons or any firearms, and also any legal fees. And so I just wanted to provide that little bit of context, a really high overview, so there will be opportunity for question if you have any. But I'm going on to the exciting part for us. So we have made a lot of changes with the blessings of our leadership. With a lot of the payments that we currently have listed as allowable, I'll give an example. Our housing, we have a lot of limitations in place currently, and the limitations, all of our limitations that exist in current rule, most all of them, are going to be removed, but the current rule as it stands allows for at manager discretion to be able to be overridden, and a manager can decide to exceed whatever limitation is placed in rule. Some of the limitations are specific time periods, some of them are dollar amounts, and we have found over the course of the past several years that these limitations are a hindrance to some families accessing support services, and we were not having equity of services across the state. So one area might allow for exceeding the limitations in the rule more often than a different area. And so we've removed a lot of those limitations in order to attempt to create a more equitable access to support services. We've also added some clarifying language into our rule. We've added federal citations so that way staff can further understand why some payments are just not allowable. We've also just cleared up a couple of other provisions within the rule. One of the biggest changes in the rule, which shortens our rule quite a bit, is we did remove all references to the Refugee Assistance Program and the Refugee Employment Program. The rule as it stands currently has the refugee programs and TANF in the same rule. Citations were not appropriate. Citations were all over the map and just very confusing. So the refugee program is standing up their own rule set for support services, and that should provide further clarification to staff and individuals looking at our rules. One of the things that we're most excited about is our new payment type for what we are calling STEAM. So STEAM actually stems from the definition of STEM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Arts was recently put in there, and it's just an educational it's an educational term, and it's really meant to encompass all those things that you see on the screen. But we're really excited about this because we are able to make payments for families to experience activities such as going to the museum, state parks, science centers, art exhibits, something to get families to do activities together and provide learning opportunity for children. And so we're super excited about this. We're hoping that it provides a lot of enrichment to families and just learning opportunities and be able to support families with activities that, you know, a lot of our families experiencing are, of course, with TANF, our income limits are very small. And so a lot of our families are very economically challenged, and we're hoping that this provides some great learning opportunities for the entire family. And that is about it. It was a short and sweet presentation. Really, the changes are meant to provide more equitable access across the state, and we will be monitoring that and hoping that our changes are successful to what our goals are. And I will stop talking and open it up for questions. I couldn't see the chat while I was presenting. I apologize. I don't know, Misha.
No questions just yet, but does anybody have a question for Miguel about support services? There is an ask for your contact information, Miguel.
Oh, yes, I will put that in the chat. Sorry. And
I
one
have a
thing real
question.
quick. Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Miguel. Sorry I look kind of green. But my question is, so I saw all the supportive services that can be purchased for TANF workers. So is there like each TANF office, or should I say, is there a limit to how much money and they run out of money? Kind of like some of our other contracts when it comes to supporting people in TANF?
That's a great question. Thank you for that. So we do have a dedicated jobs budget, and within that budget, it's broken into a pool for our support services and then a pool for our contracts for the various different activities that we offer. The budget is broken down by district per se, but there is no limit in the amount a district can spend right now. So really, there is no limit. There's no limit per family, no limit per family coach. We're really trying to move away from a lot of those restrictions that put into place those budgetary restrictions. And we really want to be able to move to a place where we're offering families really the support services that they need in order to be successful to reach their goals and be able to achieve economic mobility. Does that answer the question? I hope it did. I put my email in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. One thing I will say that I think I forgot to mention is this rule, along with all the other rules under Chapter 461 that are being amended for October, will be posted at the Secretary of State site on August 1, and there will be a 21-day public comment period. So if you have anything that you think of between now and then, you can also post it in that public comment period. You could also send things directly to me or to our rules coordinator, however you feel comfortable. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Miguel. Anybody else have any questions? All right, I don't see any hands up, but I do have a delay because I'm working from my phone right now. So please speak up if I don't see you. We've got 10 minutes. And so before I close the meeting out, it's been a little while since we've had some time at the end of our meetings to just open it up for any questions or discussion or maybe any partner announcement. So if there's something that you'd like to share with our partners, this is a great time to do that. Is there anything anybody would like to ask or speak about? I know I'm throwing you on the spot there. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. So with that, I have the gift of time for you, a whole 10 minutes. So enjoy that. I know it's always nice to get a little extra time in your day. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all of you and your all the work that you do and your support. And feel free to reach out anytime you need. Thanks.
Misha, real quick, the presentations will be shared in a follow-up email. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I have received the one from your program.
Perfect. Just asking somebody ask that question in the chat.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We will have that, including the one pager on the tuition waivers. I have that as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh.